talk about disability and exclusions and limitations. There is no uniform definition of disability, much like there's no uniform disability insurance policy. So one of the crucial things you have to do before you stop work and apply for benefits, or if your claim's been denied and you're thinking about appealing, is to get your policy out. What does it say about disability? Now, normally, own occupation benefits are paid first, and that's paid if you're unable to perform the material and substantial duties of your occupation due to your impairments. Normally paid for about 24 months, but it could be as short as 12 months and as long as 36 months. And if you have an own occupation policy, for the duration of the policy. But the key here is, how is the term occupation defined? The definition can be based on the Dictionary of Occupational Titles. That's an old federal publication that hasn't been updated in a million years and doesn't even have an accurate description of some of the positions that exist, like attorney or doctor or computer programmer. And they certainly don't have definitions of positions like web developers, for example. What's important, as I said, is to get that policy out. How is occupation defined? Because it could be based on the Dictionary of Occupational Titles, how your occupation is performed in the national economy, how your occupation is performed in the local economy, or how your occupation is actually performed for your employer. Once you have satisfied own occupation period, there'll be a transition to any occupation benefits. Question at that point becomes whether or not you can engage in the material and substantial duties of any occupation based on your education, your training, and your experience. I didn't say age, so remember, that's not a factor. There might be a wage requirement that the carrier has to establish. So in other words, you have to be able to earn a percentage of your pre-disability earnings before any occupation benefits are due and owing. In other words, let's say you're an engineer and they do a labor market survey in the any occupation stage, and they decide that you could take your skills in engineering to some other occupation. They have to prove, depending on the terms of the policy, that you can earn at least a percentage of your pre-disability earnings, normally 60 to 80%, for them to successfully argue that there are other occupations that you can do. And that gives you a hint of some of the issues and games that are played in the definition of disability and the definition of occupation. Now, the other important policy terms, when I'm looking at a policy giving people advice, exclusions and limitations. So now that we know that you're covered, what your occupation is, what the definition of disability is, we have to figure out whether or not there's limits on how long you might be paid benefits. Generally, every ERISA disability policy will have limits on benefits for mental nervous conditions. There are flavors, if you will, of the mental nervous condition limitation. There are some that are broadly written that says, if your disability is caused or contributed to, your disability benefits are limited to just 2 years. So you might have a back injury, have back surgery, and are depressed. And if your depression contributes 1% to your overall total disability, the disability carrier can say, hey, benefits are limited to just 2 years. There is also a subjective limitation conditions that you need to be aware of, because sometimes the policy will say we'll pay 2 years of benefits, but if you have a condition that's characterized by muscle spasm, pain, fatigue, migraines, fibromyalgia, chemical sensitivity, et cetera, benefits are limited to just 2 years. So the policy will use medical definition exclusions to limit your benefits. You can see that this can be a complex area. And if you're thinking about applying for disability benefits or your benefits been denied, it's time for you to consult with an attorney, help you read that disability policy, read the denial, and understand what it is you need to prove to either get your benefits or to get back on claim.